Hi everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Cassie, also known as KnittaCass. This is my YouTube channel where I talk about the things that I am knitting, the patterns that I am drooling over and want to cast on, a little bit of crochet, although I say that I never show crochet. Hoping that by saying that I'll hold myself accountable. I have learned how to do a single stitch and a double stitch, but haven't amounted to anything. I was working kind of on a blanket where I was working on the stitches, but that didn't work. So once again, this YouTube channel is about the things that I'm knitting, the patterns that I'm drooling over, and family life, farm life, and a little spice of mental health. So grab your favorite beverage. I have my Pepsi, of course, that is essential for me. It is the equivalent of your morning coffee. So grab a drink, grab your favorite project or something to work on, and let's get started. So first of all is finished objects. I have a vanilla finished washcloth in that purple yarn that I didn't know the colorway. I did not bring it in this room, but I will put a picture of it here. Nothing special, but it is washcloth number 2 of the year. If you're new here, my goal for the year is to knit at least 12 dishcloths, hoping to do once a month or one a month. And that was my goal last year, and I didn't do it at all. So I'm off to a good start, and hopefully I'll keep up the mojo. I did get a washcloth book. It's called Kaleidoscope Kitchen. And it has a bunch of different washcloths just to keep it interesting. It has some fancy patterns. It also has shapes such as hearts. Ooh, I should cast that on today, February. Hearts and basketballs. I think there's like a fish, lots of cool stuff. So stay tuned for some more washcloths. And that's it for finished objects. So for whips, I have several whips. And all this is living in this ginormous butterfly bag that my mom gave me from a thrift store. And then inside it, I have all these like different project bags, but they're all shoved in there. One of our friends in the 11 Stitches membership, her name is Erica. She is known as the Lopsided Crafter. So she started this kind of fun activity program, I don't know what to call it, where it's called Love Your Stash, and it's just encourages you to do fun things with your stash. Last month it was a bingo card, and so there was different things such as working on a whip, finishing a whip, working on a long-term project, going to a Zoom knit night, and it was just for fun, and it was super fun because it motivated you to finish whips or participate in various things, lots of things that I was already doing. And then some things that I wanted to add to it, and that was the great motivation for me. This month for Love Your Stash, the fun is red light, green light. So she'll post on that thread a green light, and then you're just gonna like knit like crazy on one of the projects. Like you can either pre-plan what project you're gonna do, or you can grab whatever's next to you. So you work like crazy on that project until you get a red light. And then when you get a green light, you go to the next project. So I am not always there when she's doing red light, green light, but it did prompt the idea for me to set timers and work on a certain project for a certain amount of time and then switch and work on another one. It has made me more productive, except for my pattern businessy stuff, which I'll talk about later, which has been taking most of my time. So this is a bit tangled. This is my pattern. I am working on the second sock. I've already drawn it out. I've already written it up. It's working really well so far. I'll talk more about it in the business section, but this colorway is Apple Crisp by Hypnotic Yarn, and I absolutely love the color. It's so much fun to work with. And this project is just thrown in here because that's how I roll sometimes. This is the cast on in I think it's a 10-row repeat so far. So one repeat of the pattern. This is the Pumpkin Spice Latte Socks by Twin Stitches Designs. You can see a little bit of the pattern there, but once I have a couple more repeats, you'll really be able to see the pattern. Super easy, knits, purls, and some cross stitches, which is basically mock cables. One of them is essentially a cable in my opinion, but it's called right cross, left cross. Totally fine, doesn't matter. I also think though that it's pretty strategic to write that because sometimes when you write cable, people get a little nervous. And this is my colorway Basic Bitch, picking on people who are obsessed with pumpkins and pumpkin spice latte and all of that stuff that fall brings. And this is by Fiber Stash Yarns. I'm constantly talking about them. They are a indie dye company. They are from Vermont, which is where I'm from, and it's just really great to support a small business. I have a hoe, you guys. I have a hoe. So exciting. This has been on my list for a long, long time. This is the Rose Covered Cage Mitts by Dragon Horde Designs. Her name is Tristan. She is an indie yarn dyer, but she also does a lot of patterns. Her typical pattern ideas are really cool colorwork sweaters and colorwork mitts. She has designed at least one hat and one shawl. So this is knit with a colorway set that I bought quite a while ago, and I just put off casting it on. And this month's theme in the 11 Stitches membership is colorwork, and I can't wait to start the next one. I have casted on the cuffs, so hopefully you'll see some progress next week. I also cast on the brioche heart hat. I talked about it last week on the podcast, and when I was casting it on, the pattern looked like I was going to be knitting on the inside to set up the purl round, and it was really confusing. So I reached out to my friend Alana. She is known on YouTube as the Mental Knitja, Knit JA. She's fabulous. She is such a sweet person, full of love, and just cheers everybody on, and I just love her so much. So her and I were casting this on. She breezed right through it. I put it off for like a day or two and then didn't understand the instructions, so she helped me through it. Basically, all that to say that I had put it on needles that were way too long, got new needles, and I have cast it on and started on the ribbing. Let's see if we can get this true to color here. So this is a really nice kind of baby blue, but it's got speckles. There you go. It's got speckles in it. And sugar, I don't remember the colorway, but of course it is Fiber Stash yarn. And then this really nice pink that I've had two of since the Knit in Public Day, and it is called Talk Nerdy to Me. Look at that glitter. If you're new to brioche, basically one colorway will kind of pop out and the other colorway will kind of step down. But the cool thing is that, so the pink is popping out here, and then on the inside the blue's popping out. So it's totally reversible. I don't think this pattern will be reversible because the main color is making hearts, but in general, two color brioche is reversible and it's super fun. I'm hoping to finish the cuff of this today and start on the pattern work. Oh, and that's living in a Halloween bag that I got a few years ago from Nicole Stitches Designs. I think it's NSP Designs. She is no longer knitting bags. She had a baby in October, and she also is pursuing more of her dream job while she's doing it, and was kind of feeling like the knitting and the podcast and the making bags was no longer fun and was just kind of work. So she stepped back for a little while. I just dropped a stitch marker. So this you have seen 100 times. This is the Monte Rio cabled sweater by Stephanie Talent. It is in the Knit Picks cabled sweater book. You've probably seen that from Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. She is knitting the Cartwheel cabled cardigan, and last I knew she had done the front and the back and was working on a sleeve. So this is in Knit Picks Snuggle Puff. It is Aran weight. It's super fluffy. So far it's doing okay. I was a little worried that it was going to feel a little too fake and maybe not hold a cable. So I haven't done the cable yet. I have done the neckline, and I know you're probably thinking like you had the neckline done last time. Actually, I had cast on the wrong size and didn't realize until I started I needed to do the saddle, which is like the beginning of your shoulder cables, and it wasn't matching up. So I started again. I'm afraid to work on it when I'm distracted or it's loud in the house, because if I'm going to put this much effort into a cabled sweater, I want it to fit. I don't want to have to think back 100 times. I'm a super lazy knitter. I hate taking back. I'd rather cut the yarn or fake it. So you can't really fake it as much with a cabled sweater. So we'll see. It might still be the same next week, but it is what it is. I don't think you're here judging me. So we're good. And if you are, I'm at that point in my life where how does my counselor say it? Your opinion of me is none of my business. Yes, that's it for whips. Pattern envy. So I haven't done this section for a little while. I haven't done this section this year because I have been focusing on my Make 9. And although I want to kind of breeze right through my Make 9, I realize that it's only February and I have an entire year. And if I only knit those projects like back to back, I think it's going to start to feel like work and I'll probably lose my mojo. So these are the patterns that I want to cast on. I will put a picture in one of these corners and I will put the title and the author on the bottom. I want to do a stable linen top. This is a pattern by Hoki Locatelli. It is basically, it's not quite a tank top, more like a sleeveless shirt. And it's got this nice kind of design, like simple design going down the sides. So it's super simple, but also like looks like not basic, I guess. So I'm really excited to do that. I do have some linen yarn. Is it called yarn? I don't know. Some linen fiber. I have a pink, 2 pinks and 2 orange. I'm not sure if it's enough for the top, and I don't remember where I got it. So I might do a combination. Not entirely sure. Like, stay tuned. It might be a while. It might be like towards spring kind of project. I also want to do the hatching day socks. So there is a lady from Australia. Her name is Jancy, and she is part of the 11 Stitches membership. I've done a couple of Zooms where she has been present, and she has knit these really cute socks. And she was talking about these socks called Hatching Day. And it kind of looks like they're on the beach and there's like a turtle moving. So it's like the sand and the waves. It looks really gorgeous. I think that would be super fun. Not sure if I would wear them, but I'm pretty sure that maybe my daughter or definitely some of my nieces would super enjoy that. Mistress of Evil Socks. This is inspired by Maleficent. She is my favorite villain. And these socks are kind of like the purple and green kind of fire. And they just look super cute and super well done. The pattern is by Henneke Designs. And it is in the book, I think it's called Knitting Magic or Disney Knitting Magic. It is a compilation of different patterns that are Disney themed and produced by Tanis Knits. Also in that book is the I'm Late mittens. So despite the fact that Maleficent is my favorite villain, I am obsessed. I am obsessed with Alice in Wonderland and just love all things about it. In fact, my axolotl's name is Jabberwocky. So these mittens have a clock and they have the little rabbit and they're called I'm Late, and they are colorwork and they are super cute. I might not do that this year just because I'm not a big mitten fan, and it's starting to warm up, and by starting to warm up, I mean like high 30s, which is nice. You know, the sun is out. The sun doesn't disappear at 4 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock, but I'll take it. So that'll probably be a next year project. The rune sweater. I don't think I put this on my Make 9. If I did, I apologize that you're hearing it again. It is by Dragon Horde Design. She is actually one of the first indie yarn dyers that I bought yarn from. She's also one of the first podcasts that I watched. She was doing a podcast with her mother. I don't remember what it's called. I have to put it on the bottom. They've been podcasting a while. Things got a little nuts with COVID, and then they both, their businesses just boomed. And they haven't reconnected to do a podcast together, which is totally fine. I'm really excited that their businesses have boomed. So Tristan, her business is Dragon Horde Yarn and Dragon Horde Designs. The rune sweater is by her. And then Yarn Cafe Creations is her mother. And they have very different dye techniques and like colorways that drive them, and I love them both. So if I'm looking for kind of like a moody, deep variegated type yarn, I would choose Dragon Horde yarn. But if I'm looking for like more of like a speckle, she has variegated too, but like comparing the two, it seems more like a speckled and like these really pretty, like bright colors. Love it. Okay, that is it for Pattern Envy. So in terms of my business, I have a very small business. It originally started, KnittaCass Creates, as wanting to do a podcast showing the things I was knitting. And it turned into me wanting to make some commission work. People were always asking, like, could I pay you to make this and this? And I was always like, I don't know. So I made a Facebook group and word of mouth and called it KnittaCass Creates. And I have only had 2 commission work, so it wasn't what I expected. And that's okay. A lot of people want me to make sweaters, and I'm not really ready to do that. Sweaters are a big project, and I have barely mastered it for myself. The pressure of doing it and having it fit for someone else is terrifying. It's not something I'm ready to do. Also, the yarn is super expensive. They always want the indie dyed yarn, and I love indie dyed yarn, but it's expensive. Like a sweater's worth is a lot of money. And people who want me to knit them a sweater think they can get it for like 40, 60 bucks. I'm going to pay more than that for yarn. And they don't really get that because they're not makers. So they think that when I give them a price quote that I'm overcharging. So there's that. But it kind of pushed me into doing a little bit of a different way. I've wanted to be a knit designer since that kind of commission work fell through. And I have a lot of drafts, a lot of designs. I drew up a design with my son Weston's help. So that was super easy. I did test knitting. They were able to point out like some of the things that I didn't explain well or wasn't written right. A couple other things, like they did a really nice job and they were super kind about it. And so I learned a lot from that process, and that process was super fast. This one I'm working on, however, is not super fast. But I'm okay with that because I've had more time to design, rip back, rethink, redo, resketch, and really feel confident in my design since I've knit it so much now. And I have it out to my test knitters. In fact, I put a call out for my test knitters thinking it was going to take a couple weeks and I could finish writing up the pattern in like a nice format. But I have such amazing test knitters that a couple were like chomping on the bit, like, hey, when is it coming? I'm ready. I've got my yarn picked out. I've got my yarn caked. And I was like, holy poop, Batman. I'm not quite ready. So what I did is I sent them the top part of the left sock and said, all right, start with the left sock. The rest will come by. I had already written the right sock, but there was a couple things I changed, so I didn't want them to knit that one. But it did push me to really work on it. So the last 3 days, all I've done is pattern work, and I'm not going to lie, I got really sick of it. But it was really great to see the excitement, and I've had a couple people ask for clarifications. One of them has showed me a picture of what they've done so far, and it's transcribing well. It is looking the way that I'm hoping it's going to look, and it makes me really happy. So I'm not sure when that will be released. I was thinking it'd probably be a month's turnaround, but it is a little more of a complicated pattern. So I'm going to kind of gauge it on how my test knitters do, because I appreciate their time and they're doing me a huge favor. And I don't want them to be so rushed that they're not enjoying the process or that they're kind of stressed out. It's also a pattern that I would really like to have 2 socks done. 2 socks will help show the pattern better. Also, an exciting news. I'm not going to say details. I'm not going to say who, but I did solidify a collaboration with a yarn dyer. Yay! For a pattern that I'm hoping to release in April. Granted that deadline is subject to change, but the yarn dyer has dyed up a sample and will be mailing it out to me soon so I can knit it on that. Hint, it's about a book that's trending right now. A lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are reading it. And the first book is already a Netflix series. So stay tuned for that. I'm really excited about that one. There is someone who has created this fiberwary. I don't know if I can say it right. I'll put it on the bottom. So it's #fiberwary. And each day has a different prompt. And it's been really fun to take the prompt and kind of make it mine. And all the other makers that I have seen, makers/fiber artists. it's been really fun to see them also make it their own. So like if it was uh, close up. Close up was so different. Like it was about learning what I'm doing or the yarn, or um, one person used it as a chance to talk about mental health. It's just been really great to kind of see the creativity and also to see all these different makers and fiber artists that I have never heard of before. And if you go check out the hashtag, you can see everybody's results and kind of read what they're doing. Some of them are doing reels, which is super cool. So I did a reel. I don't think it was nearly as cool as theirs, but it was fun to make. I had already had it in my drafts on TikTok. It was some knitting that I was doing while I was waiting for my son to be out of surgery. So I got a lot of people who are kind of messaging me like, oh, you have like a name tag and a mask on. Like, are you okay? Where are you? And I'm okay. I was waiting for my son. And when I posted it, it was like a week later. Anyways, I added some cool music that I like. And it was my weird one hand, two color work that I do. I have one around this finger and one around this finger. Yeah. And then I just throw them. When people talk about color work, that's not something people typically talk about. There's a lot of other techniques. And one of my friends named Esther from the 11 Stitches membership told me she does the same thing. So that was super cool. I don't think I would have learned that without putting it out there. That's what I do. Family life. Things are less bananas, so they're still up and down, but I'm less stressed about it. I'm focusing on more self-care and really working on that boundary of like, this isn't mine, and carrying it and taking it on isn't going to change anything. That has helped tremendously, and I'm sleeping. I am a night owl by nature, but I used to work night shifts, so if I stay up to a certain point, like I'm up all night, and I fall asleep anywhere between 3 and 5, and then I gotta get up between 6 and 7, and I'm wicked cranky and I feel groggy all day. So I've started setting a bedtime for myself and getting off the electronics, and I do some reading, but I'm trying to do it with lower light. So I do that and I get sleepy, I fall asleep, and I've been able to get up before the kids, and so I'm still getting my alone time. Also this morning, I don't know like what kind of productivity bug bit me, but I got up in the morning, I cleaned the whole downstairs, like chemical cleaned, which I mean like, you know, using bleach, scrubbing bubbles, whatever your poison is. That was kind of not funny. Whatever your cleaning choice is, and clean all the surfaces, clean the toilet, all that stuff, and then sweep and mop. So I did all that before the kids went to school. And then I went to the barn, did the chores with my in-laws, and then I came home and took a shower. I played with my makeup. You probably can't see it, but you're not going to be able to see it. But I have 3 different colors on my eyelid, like one color here, and then the middle, and then on the side. I haven't done that in so long, and I forget how much fun I used to have doing it. I'm not somebody who wears makeup all the time. I used to wear it every day. I used to have to take a shower and put makeup on every single day before I left the house. And once I got into my 30s, I cared a lot less about what people think. And also, like the last year, my sister, who's a hairdresser and has fabulous hair, has taught me that washing your hair every day is really not healthy. So I've been working on that. I've been training my hair. It's kind of funky today. I used my daughter's conditioner, and so like I had wicked curls earlier, and then I tried to play with them, and it's kind of frizzy-ish, but that's okay. I gave myself bangs again. I was trying to grow them sideways because I like that angle bang look, but it wasn't filling in, and the hair over here wasn't coming over here, so it just like looked like a mess. So I think I like these. I think I like them today. I didn't like them the other day when I cut them. Oh, so I saw this challenge. I've seen it for several years kind of pop up on Facebook and Instagram, and I always say I'm going to do it, and I never do. So I think somebody called it Heart Attack, which I'm not a fan of that name. But basically you have different colored or different shaped hearts, and you write something about your child, something positive, like one of my kids is like super, super good on his team. So we're like MVP for middle school basketball. And another one was like best dog daddy, or you're really good at being independent. My younger kid, he's very smart. So it was like super smart, has patience teaching mom things. And then like UR's statements. So it's been really fun. I haven't forgotten a single day. Today is February 10th. So that's awesome. And that's been a lot of fun. It fills my cup, and I hope it fills their cup. Farm life, not much has changed except for the fact that the animals stay out a little bit later because the sun is out later. I think that's it. Although this morning, so my mother-in-law has 3 big horses. I am a weird person, and I have always been afraid of horses. I don't know why. I don't think anything traumatizing happened. I did get stepped on by a horse, but like, I don't think that prompted it because I'm pretty sure I was afraid of them before. I think they're gorgeous. I just like don't like being up close. I'm starting to get over that because I'm around them a lot. Unless they look like they're coming at me or like they're not listening and I have to get kind of closer in their bubble, I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like this. So anyways, I went to the barn first. And we have 2 gates in the middle, and the 2 of the 3 big horses share that little, like, I guess it's a big pen, this big pen. And we have chains locking one gate, and then the other gate has a chain that kind of goes into the groove. Never been an issue before. They were out all over the barn. There was horse poop everywhere. It was a freaking nightmare doing chores this morning. Freaking nightmare. But the thing that kind of ticked me off is they knocked everything over. Buckets, chairs, tools. So they knocked all the bales over, took the twine out. We're eating a second cut, which is like delicious and not in a bale. Not delicious to me. Oh my God, what a nightmare. So I had to get them out by myself. I'm sure I could have waited, but they were intimidating me, like running around in this small space. So I got them outside. And my mother-in-law had this big cleanup to do from the hay. And she showed me like a different way to lock them in when we bring them in tonight. So I'm hoping I never have to deal with that again. The minis I have no problem with. I've brushed them, I've braided their hair, whatever. Like, they give me kisses, they nuzzle, whatever. One of the big horses will give me kisses, but when he wants to do what he wants to do, there's no redirecting. However, my mother-in-law is absolutely amazing, and all she has to do is point and say, like, in or go. I have to chase them like, I'm bigger than you, move! It's super fun. I'm sure people driving by like get a good laugh every day, and that's fine. Whatever. I'm there for their entertainment. I think that's it for funny farm stories. So the last segment that I always like to do is the spice of mental health. Mental health is a big, important part in my life. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a psychiatrist, psychologist. I hadn't quite decided. One does appointments and medications, and the other one does like more of the studies. So that was important to me. And I've always struggled with anxiety, depression, but not really ever fitting that cube of depression or the cube of anxiety or the cube of the mix. Like, my mood swings were really ridiculous. And like, when I was down, I lasted down for a long time. When I was up for a long time. I kept telling my provider I was bipolar, and they did like a little in-office screen, and they were like, no. So 2 years ago, I did have a mental health breakdown. I did end up in the psych unit of our local hospital. I learned so much and was finally diagnosed with bipolar 2. So I'm now more regulated. I still have, ups and downs, but the combination of counseling, working on coping skills, and the medications has made my life so much easier. And I think it's made my kids' lives a lot better as well. All that to say, mental health is important to me, and self-care is not selfish. I did bring up journaling at last week's podcast. Let me know down below if you journaled and kind of a little bit of how you did it. Did you do a bullet journal? Were you doodling? Was it like diary format? Was it brain dumping? Was it gratitude? I'm really curious to know. I did a combination of all that except doodling. So this week, my mental health suggestion is sunshine. We have gone a long winter without the proper amount of sunshine. If you're in like different parts of the country and you've gotten a lot of sun, please forgive me. I sometimes forget that not everybody has the same weather patterns as New England. So for me, it's been a long time since I've had the sun. So it's really important to be out in the sun, breathing that fresh air, and it does so much for your mood. It even helps regulate your sleep, and it helps you just kind of be more resilient and able to bounce back when you're being triggered and having some self-regulation. So I am suggesting to you to go outside, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Doesn't matter what you do. Grab a lawn chair and sit in the middle. I sometimes this time of year get a little too cold going outside, even though it feels warm out. So I have this big window in my house, and I like to pull a chair over there and a book or a project I'm knitting and just kind of sunbathe like a cat. So there you go. Get some sunshine, and I will see you next week. Thank you. Bye.